Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, baby. My name's Jade, and this is The Interview. And today on the show we have Anders Johanson, who is from Field Tone Audio, a fantastic YouTube channel, and also a wicked musician in that himself. The show is sponsored by DistroKid. We're going to kick things off with one of his tracks. It's called Great Optimism. Let's urge, baby. Well, hello there. Welcome to the show. That is an opening track by our featured artist today, which is Anders Johanson from Field Tone Audio. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jade. This is The Interview. We do this each and every week, and today's one is sponsored by DistroKid. We do 2 of these per month, and let me tell you a little bit about DistroKid before we bring on our guest. Of course, we got to do so because DistroKid are awesome. Now, I'm sure you're out there thinking, how can I get my music on all streaming services? Well, you can do it this way through DistroKid. And if you use my code, which is distrokid.com/VIP/Jade, you'll get 7% off your first year. I've been using DistroKid for years upon years upon years upon years upon years. I was using a previous distributor. I was spending a lot of money each year, and DistroKid came along probably about 2016 or something like that, and I moved all my stuff across for a ridiculous low price these days of $20 $24.99. So that's what, $2 roughly a month, and you can release unlimited songs, unlimited albums, upload your lyrics, Spotify check mark. You can do royalty splits if you're doing collaborations. You get a whole bunch of tools to like promote your stuff, and you can do it all from your iPhone or your iPad with the free tool, the mobile app, which works on Android and iOS, of course, or just do it through your browser, completely up to you. There's 3 plans. The musician plan, you get 1 artist, right? $24.99. There's the Musicians Plus plan. You get 2 artists for $44.99 billed annually. And there's this one, the one I use, the one that I love because I have way too many artists, right? I think I have 7 artists or something, and you get 5 artists for $89.99 and a whole bunch of extra tools down the bottom here. As I said, I've been using DistroKid way before they became a sponsor on the channel. They've been sponsoring me here for quite a few years, and I can't do it without you. Thank you so much. DistroKid. Will hear more from them as the show goes on, and of course, I have to do it. I love you, DistroKid. It's a weird relationship, but, it's good. I hope. Nothing too weird, right? Anyway, so let me tell you a story of today's guest. There's a whole bunch of crazy characters that you can find on YouTube who are so into this iOS music creation space, yeah, where we give up our time to sit here and tell you about apps that you can make music with. Some people just love to buy apps and not make any music with. They just collect them like Pokemon. But there's a whole bunch of crazy characters who do this kind of stuff but for the love of music. And it's always nice to see a new one pop up who is interesting, and there seems like there's a backstory behind this character. And so I came across Field Tone Audio. I think it was on one of the Facebook groups. I clicked, came over, had a watch, and was like, I really like this guy. I really like the cut of his jib. Simpsons references, there could be a few of them today, who knows. But no, I really loved his freestyle approach to making music, his style of music. There's obviously a story behind it, and I just became addicted and started watching his show, and here we are. I want to get him on and talk about music with him, talk about his music, talk about YouTube and his experiences doing YouTube. So without further ado, let's cut to the chase and bring him on and see what he's all about. Are you ready, folks? Ladies and gentlemen, tables and chairs, pull down your undies and show us your hairs. We're going to bring him on. This is, I can see him sitting there, bated breath. Anders Johanson from Field Tone Audio. Let's get some applause. Yay! Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Jade.
What
an introduction.
Nothing but the best here, right?
That's what I came here for.
so professional. No, thank you for coming on, because I mean every word of it, right? I find your approach to demoing music really, really honest and interesting. We were saying this before the show. I love watching somebody. I love a character. I love getting to know somebody and watching them play with music and play with apps, and at the same time start to understand who they are and why they're making music, because we all have stories to tell, right? We're not just apps. We're not just music. We're human beings. We're definitely not Suno, and it's very important, right? Because AI, man, it's becoming a thing. What is before I ask you about what you think your meaning of music kind of is, what are your thoughts on this bizarre transition humanity's taking at the moment to just get AI to generate all of our music for us? Are we deranged or what?
That is the topic of conversation these days. I think AI can be a useful tool. Sometimes I'm not fully anti-AI. I think in some ways it can be helpful for ideation and scheduling and planning and figuring out, how to live life. I think it can be a useful tool, but I think when it starts to become a replacement rather than a tool, that's where I start to personally have issues with it. When people try to use it as a way to make music instead of learning how to make music, which is a very personal experience and personal journey. That's when I start to feel like maybe this is being used in the wrong way and being used in a way where people are missing out on a crucial element of being human. So I think I'm like I said, I'm not anti-AI. I think there's a time and a place for it as long as it's used properly.
Me too. I agree 100%, right? I was kind of, I feel like I was at the cutting edge of it when this stuff was happening because I was covering it like 4 years ago, and now it's here, and I use it for stuff like building up my rants and stuff, putting things in bullet points for me, and collecting information from links that I provide because you can't trust it. But the interesting thing is, we were promised it was going to like fix things like cancer and the environment, and instead, poor people who've got cancer now are still dealing with the horrible treatments. And normally in those situations, those people would get creative, and now they can't even make music because the AI is like just going to take away all that creative. This is the thing. People with illness turn to music, turn to creativity to get through a lot of this stuff. And if AI is going to take away all that, it feels like a plan to me. It feels like, if you take away the art, you take away the ability to fight back. That's how it feels to me, because art has always been a rebellion. Look at the Black Plague. Some of those paintings were so diabolical, but they reflected the times, right? You wouldn't get AI to do that for you these days if we had a plague, or maybe we would.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
And we went decades, the 70s and 80s and 90s of AI being the bad guy in sci-fi movies, and now we have AI and everyone's like, yeah.
I know. It's like, has anybody seen Terminator or what?
Yeah, it's like, were you watching?
I mean, it was a blockbuster. So
that's true. That's true.
Hey, thank you all for being here on the live stream. If you're watching on the replay and all that, hit the like and do all that jazz. It helps out the channel. I don't want to badger you for that stuff. We'll do shout outs. We normally do it about 30 minutes into the show. So I see you. I see you guys. So thank you for being here. First question I ask everybody who comes on this show. Anders Johanson, what does music mean to you?
Oh, what a loaded question. As time has gone on, I feel like as naturally happens, the meaning of music has changed for me. When I started out making music, it was just a part of trying to discover who I am as a person, and the way my brain works, and the way my thoughts come out, and the way I process emotions and struggle and success and joy and darkness. And I think for me currently, it's a lot more of that. But throughout the years, as time has gone by, and as I've played with sound and written songs and done all the things that I do with music and audio now, it's this is gonna sound really cheesy, so I apologize. It's who I am. I wouldn't be myself if I didn't have music, if I didn't have a piano, if I didn't have an iPad. My brain moves so fast all the time, and when I get to play music, it's my opportunity to like sit down and slow myself down and actually think and think about what I'm feeling and how I'm feeling and why I'm feeling those things. So for me, music is just a core part of me as a person. And I think that's the best way to sum it up.
I love it. There's nothing cheesy about that, right? Because, and the thing is, there's no incorrect answer. That's the beauty of that, because
yeah, exactly.
Because it is you. It's your personal what makes you do it. My thing too with music, it's just been in my bones forever. I just can't think of a moment my entire life where I've not wanted to make music. And currently, it's really bugging me at the moment that this show takes up so much of my time that I'm not making enough music, which is why I'm trying to make some changes to make more music, because it is a joyful thing. Has there been a time in your life where music you felt maybe saved you from despair or darkness, or even helped you accelerate when things are going really good? Can you recall anything like that where, or a particular song that you've grabbed onto that's helped you get through one of those tearjerkers maybe?
Yeah, I think, I don't have a massive catalog of music out, which is something that I'm working on, and I think we're all working on that. But everything that I have released has been very, very specific to me and my journey as a person. So there were times when there was something happening in my life, and there was no other way for me to express it or even feel it at all. without music. I was in a post-rock band for a few years. It started out as a bedroom project of mine, and a few friends of mine joined as the drummer and the bassist, and we toured a bunch, and that was a huge outlet for me to be able to process my feelings and stuff happening to me and around me. And there were definitely songs and not even just the finished songs, but the act and process of making the songs that got me through moments in my life where I don't know if I would have gotten through it if I hadn't had music as an outlet.
It's incredibly powerful stuff, isn't it, music? I've heard this get thrown around for years and years. I've thrown it around myself too. I think we'd be better off as a species if we ditched the human language and we all just shut up and made music, even if we sung terrible, right? I still think like music is the one communicator that it does bring us together. And again, that's why I think have this theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. Siri, I didn't call you. Sorry, Jesus. I said theory. Unbelievable, Apple. Sort out your
She's
AI.
always listening. She's always listening.
She's always listening, but she always gets it wrong. What is going on? But yeah, this is why they want to turn AI into taking away the creativity, right? Because it soothes our pain. It gets us through these moments. And I wouldn't be. It sounds so throwaway. I wouldn't be here without music. It's got me through so many tough times, and we're very blessed to have it. The music we were listening to. Now I'm not sure where you're from, Texas, in the US.
Yes, I currently live in Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. How's that going for you? How's America going for you at the moment?
It's hot, and there's a lot going on, and we don't got to talk about all of it.
No. I just asked, how's it going? How's it going?
You know, we out here, baby.
It's good stuff. No, but do you remember the music that was played in your household by your parents? And has named some of the artists that was played in your household, relatives, friends.
Wow.
And has it had an effect on you? Good or
what
bad?
An excellent question. That's a great question. Yes. So I grew up in a family where my parents were very involved in church. So my mom would always play, hymns on the piano, and my siblings, we could always tell when she was stressed because she'd go bang out Amazing Grace on the piano just to get some emotion out. My joke with people is that my mom has never listened to a song released after 1850.
Brilliant.
But my dad loves Elvis and Frank Sinatra. So that was just, anytime we were in the car with my dad, those would always be on the radio. And then I have two older sisters, and the one right above me, I specifically remember the first time I heard Linkin Park playing from her room. It was a very life-changing moment for me when I realized music could sound cool, that it was a means of expression. Hearing Chester Bennington scream "Shut up" when I'm talking to you was I didn't know that was possible. So that was great. And then just for me myself, I grew up. I remember at a very young age listening to Bach and Beethoven symphonies, Tchaikovsky, as a child in a crib through a tape player, which is, maybe we'll talk about this later, but has become part of the reason why I love tape and lo-fi and strings and classical music, was because that's what I was listening to when I was a baby. And then, things change and progress over time, and people discover new artists. My dad likes to credit himself as being the one who discovered the Killers, which I don't know why he decided that, but he claims that he knew who they were before anyone else did.
I love that. That's a true fan right there.
Yeah, so it's just, music has always been a part of our house and my family, and now married 6 years with my wife. We love music and talk about music constantly, and it's just a big part of, like I said earlier, just a big part of my life. I wouldn't be myself without it.
Yeah, look, I'm an 80s kid. I was born in the 70s, but grew up. The 80s was such a wild time. It's so funny. You don't realize when you're in a moment, right? A decade of music or a period of time where it felt like at the time 80s music was such slop, such rubbish, but it was all so catchy, and I couldn't stop singing it, right? But for me, that wake up moment was the first time at school somebody put headphones, a little Walkman headphones on my ear, and played Slayer through those headphones. And I
Yeah.
lost my mind. I lost my ever loving mind. It was metal. I'd already started to get into metal, but Slayer just was. What is this? This is this. I identify with this so much, and I just want to go and break shit and go crazy. And it's so amazing that music can do that to us. That they're even like I started doing a show this year on the channel last year called Unearthed, because we used to go out, Anders, and find music, right? And we used to go out to record stores and tapes and all this, and we used to go and find stuff and trial and error and buy things and get them home. And sometimes you'd go off the album cover and you put it on and go, wow, this sucks. I just wasted money. But that was it. You're stuck with it, right? And that was the trial and error of going out and finding music. And these days, everything's a la carte. It's just fed to you. There's so much option that it's just overwhelming. And I think this is how we fall into this place of like, today's music is shit. And it's like, it's not shit. We're just not going out and finding it anymore. And speaking of tape, so what was your preferred, I'm assuming it was tape, preferred listening device?
Yeah, I've always loved cassettes and tape and lo-fi, hi-fi, somewhere in the blend of there. But I grew up in, the late 90s, early 2000s, so CDs and MP3s were readily available. And I did not ever corrupt a family computer through LimeWire, so I made it through that.
Hey, well done.
Yes, thank you. There's literally dozens of us. So but I've just always similarly, but in a different time space, just been curious about music and discovering music and going down Bandcamp rabbit holes and finding an artist that I like and seeing who they recommend and seeing who they recommend. And then YouTube suggested videos and YouTube gear rundowns and associated videos, and just discovering artists through not just music, but also gear that they use. That was a huge part of my discovery for the artists that I like today.
The first album / cassette / whatever format on that you can recall was purchased with your money, and
Yes,
and the first one that was given to you as a gift.
I remember the first album that I purchased. I pre-ordered it. It was the band Switchfoot, their album Nothing Is Sound, which came out in, I don't know, 2004, 2005, maybe. Pre-ordered it through a local bookstore, went in the day it came out, got my CD. I was so proud of myself. It was $10. I was thrilled to have that album. What year we got on there? I want to say it was like 04, 05.
I don't think it's
05.
05, yeah, there you go.
Let's boom. Sometimes the brain works.
98% of people like this album. 98%, that's pretty good.
It's a good album. If you like Switchfoot, alt rock, indie rock, it's a good album. First album that was given to me, I remember one of my cousins wanted me to discover good music and had burned some CDs of like AC/DC and Aerosmith and Rolling Stones, and on one of our family holiday gatherings pulled me aside and handed me a few CDs that he had burned. And I really appreciated that as just like a familial older brother cousin gesture. But also that opened my eyes to different music and stuff that I probably would not have heard in my house.
Do you miss burnt CDs and cassettes?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a mixtape is kind of a lost art.
Yeah.
It's not, anyone can just scroll through on their phone and put together a playlist and be like, "Hey, I like you. Here's a playlist of songs that make me think about you." But going those extra steps to like curate the playlist and get the CDs and the tapes and put it all on one thing, there's definitely a romantic aspect about that, but also just exchange between friends, things that you think that your pals would enjoy. I think that's just lost, and the modern equivalent of that isn't quite as fun, but you can still, I mean, you can have a collaborative playlist on Spotify or Apple Music and have a bunch of people contribute to it and check it out every couple days and see what people have added. But I do miss burning CDs and recording tapes and stuff.
It's not the
That was
same.
fun.
It's not the same.
It's not
right?
the same.
Right. Back in my day, like because metal was such a really hard thing to get a hold of. There was, especially here in Australia, we're at the arse end of the world, right? So everything that happens in America kind of filters down to us 7 years later. It's not that bad, but right. But
The Internet Explorer of the world.
Yeah, absolutely right. But to get metal music back in the days, especially in the late 80s kind of thing, we had to rely on tape traders, on just a random guy who had a sheet of paper with a whole bunch of stuff, and you just go around his house or whatever, and somehow you'd get it through someone at school or whatever, and then you'd pay $10 and he'd put all these songs on, because we didn't have a large amount of stores here that sold metal records, and the ones that we did, it was on import, so you had to be a lawyer to be able to afford an import album at $45. It's, as a kid, you can't really afford that kind of shit, right? So
No, not at all. Yeah.
So when Napster came along,
Oh boy.
it was like, wow, how good's this? But on reflection, it really wasn't that good, because the quality was dog shit. It was probably worse than the tapes that we had.
Hey, don't talk bad about tapes.
Talking about tapes, I had a friend contact me this on the weekend, last weekend, and I hadn't heard from him in like 30 years. He used to be our live sound engineer from one of my bands. And he's like, I'm in Melbourne. I found your number somehow. I'm like, well, that's creepy. But he came over and we were talking about all the old tapes and demos we had. And he had a whole bunch of demo tapes of my band. I'm like, what the Dude, that is amazing. I wish I had a tape player
That's a historical artifact. Like, that is so cool.
It was wicked. It made me go through all my box of tapes and find all these old tapes. I can't believe how many tapes I actually have. I don't know why I'm hoarding them, but one day I'm going to get a tape player and use them. But tape was a really cool thing. Not only was tape amazing for creativity, right? Splicing. It was the fundamental basics of recording an album. Like, you would go into a studio, everything was to tape. You could get ultimately super creative with it and chop it up and do all these amazing things. But it was this gateway drug to so many kids just to have a tape recorder and tape the songs off the radio, and it was so important, so much more important, I think, than CDs. CDs were horrible things. But do you still have a tape player?
Oh, yes, several.
What are they?
Right here, I have a Sony micro cassette tape player.
Yes,
that I love very much. I have the one that I'm working on, trying to fix it back up, is a U.S. Library of Congress.
Oh wow! Look at that
tape machine.
That is
so
sick.
It's unscrewed because I'm trying to fix it. But this was made for people who were hard of hearing and blind, to be able to slow down the playback of audiobooks, to be able to read books. And the ambient community kind of took these over and jacked the price up, because you can slow your tapes down and everybody wants to do that.
That's pretty
And then I have
sick.
a couple others around here. Yeah, it's really, I can't wait to get it working again. There's a couple other ones around here too. I have another little Sony here that I like a lot. This is a regular size cassette player. So I have the Sony Micro and the Sony regular cassette, and then that big boy under my desk. So yes, I'm very into tapes. I love tapes.
Let's play another song, and then we'll come back and continue talking. So, folks, we're playing music today from Anders' collection on Bandcamp. All of his music is available on streaming services as well, too. Links are in the description to Apple and Spotify, and all links to everything else in the description if you want to go down there. And we're playing from his original releases back in 2021. all the way through till I think 2024. So this is the second song you sent me. This is called Promise. Tell us a little bit about Promise.
Yeah, so this album, for some backstory on this album, I lived in the same house for 26 years of my life. Um, I lived in the same room for 14 of those years, and my wife and I met on the internet. We had been friends for several years before we even just discovered that we were romantically interested in each other. So when those talks of like, what are we going to do about this? You live here, I live there. What's that going to be? When all of those talks developed, and the possibility of me leaving my childhood home started to become more and more real, I decided to kind of stamp that time in my life with a release. So this album, or I guess it's an EP, but this album is called As Far as I've Known. And that's because up until that point, that house and that room and that community was as far as I had known in life. I had never gone much further than that. So I decided to start writing a collection of songs, and all of the song titles were just the first thing that I thought of when I sat down to write that song. So Promise was, I think we had talked about promising each other that we were in this, and that we were like, that this was going to happen, that this relationship was what we wanted. So I sat down that morning at my piano to start writing the next song, and the word promise popped in my head, so I called it Promise.
Well, let's do it. You ready, folks? Grab your beverage, whatever it is you need to help you feel good, and let's chill out to this. It is 4 minutes 56 of delightful music from the EP As Far as I Have Known. This is Promise. Let's do it right now.
Well, that was cool.
That was beautiful. I'm censoring myself. That was beautiful. No, you create such beautiful moods. I really love your music. It's one of the things about your channel, and I was going to say this later on. When I first started watching you, I love your intro.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Right
Just
now,
little ambience that I put together on my iPad. I actually use the tools that I talk about.
I geek out every time I watch the start of your live stream. It just is black and white aesthetic, the way the camera jitters around and a little field tone audio. There's just something about it, right? It's just, it gets you ready for something you feel is going to be interesting, right? And you do create some really fantastic moods, and that's music, right? It doesn't matter what style it is. If you can create a mood, you can get somebody engrossed in it who may not even listen to lo-fi or drones or anything like that. It's all about that, and I love it. Beautiful. That is a beautiful track. The way it built was fantastic. So
Thank you.
that's the thing too, being a YouTube content creator as well and demoing apps and doing all this kind of stuff, your music always ends up back here and people don't realize. It was like when I had Venus Theory on here, right? You know, everybody knows Venus Theory is, well, he likes to call it, the guy with the hairy face who puts weird effects on his vocals, who's always grumpy. And when we had him on and played his music, he said to me after the show, he's like, thank you so much. I think that's the happiest interview I've ever done. Because like I felt like somebody actually gave a shit about my music for a change and weren't like hounding me and just it gets lost. Music gets lost in personalities on YouTube sometimes. Let's say hello to folks who are here too in the live stream. So if
Yes.
if you want me to call your name out, you know the deal. I can only scroll up so far. I may miss some people. So just type something, anything, balls. I don't care. You type it. I'll call you out. John Barry Glenn is here. We got Curryverse, is that how I say it? Curryverse, probably. Thomas
Curryverse. That's my brother actually.
Hello, welcome. Leela's in the house. We got Jenny, we got Lewis, we got Dave Bops, we got Cold Acre who said this is really cool music. You're damn straight.
Thank you.
And you may have noticed,
Thank
folks, there's a whole bunch of field tone audio emojis in the chat. If you're a member, you get a field tone audio emoji to chuck around on the screen. Wes plays music. Hello to you. Who else do we have? I saw Pete Johns in the house. I'm scrolling up to see if I can find anybody else. So both the Glens are here. Brad Example's here. Pete Johns. I can only go up so far, and then it's going to stop me. Tremor Bear, whose birthday it is today. Happy birthday to you, Tremor Bear.
Happy birthday. I saw that
one.
earlier. Yes. Happy birthday.
I can't go back up to the comment, but Hugh Caldwell says anything balls. Of course, we all love balls. balls. If I've missed you, I'll try and catch you up as we keep going through here. So one of my favorite questions, now I try not to be very typical with these interviews and say, what are your influences and stuff? Because, you know, I think you can hear that in the music. I think, and that's why I do these interviews and play music. A lot of interviews have people on and they describe their music and then they don't play any of it. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, it's like, hey, let's do a story on bread and nobody's allowed to taste it. Right? What's the point? Hello, Lily Pillies as well too. I think I have Top Chat on, so I can never see Lily Pillies on Top Chat. I have to go to live chat. For some reason, your nickname, Lily Pillies, bottoms out on Top Chat. You may want to look into that. There we go. I can see you now. Hi, Manny. But I love asking about school and stuff because everywhere around the world, we have different curriculums and the way music is introduced to us. In the US, where you grew up, did you have a school music curriculum? Were you interested in it? Did you partake in it? And importantly, did you learn the recorder?
So, I was actually homeschooled my entire life.
Wow.
I did not spend a single day of my educational career in a classroom, which it's not for everyone.
Sure.
I think, you know, if you have that type of household and those parents and a child that needs it, I think it can work really well. And myself and I have 5 siblings. We were all homeschooled, and it worked really well for us. I love my parents. I love my family. We're all very close. and a big part of that was just being in the same house all the time and talking about what we're doing and talking over dinner about what we did for the day. Um, so I'm like I said earlier, my mom plays some piano. My oldest sister was a singer for a while in her high school years. But other than that, I'm the only musician in my family. Everyone else they sew, they paint, they draw, they stitch, they cross stitch, they crochet. I'm the only one who bothered to pick up a guitar for more than a day. Uh, so um, I music when my parents saw that I was interested in music because I was homeschooled or with homeschool being like a part of my upbringing, they kind of leaned into that and they were like, okay, what do you want to learn? How do you want to grow this? What are you interested in? What type of music? So they were very influential in identifying that in me and seeing me grow an interest in that and then pushing me that way, which I think is personally one of the big benefits of being homeschooled. And again, it's not for everyone, but it worked really well for myself and my siblings. And my parents, when they saw me playing the piano and picking up a guitar, and they saw me expressing natural interest in that, they wanted me to enjoy that and learn that. So they pushed me that way. I did not learn the recorder then, but I can play one.
Yes. You haven't lived until you play the recorder, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That question I ask everybody. I've been doing it since I started doing interviews in 2020. And nearly everybody has had some form of recorder shoved in their mouth at some stage. Oh, God, that came out so wrong.
Phrasing?
But the point is that you come from a creative family. And I think, again, allowing people to explore their creative expression is so important in a kid's development, right? Not so much forcing stuff. Like you hear so many stories, even like, and I'm not going down a path of religion and stuff, but you see so many people who go, I was brought up in a Catholic household and now I'm an atheist. When things are kind of pushed on you, you kind of end up rebelling against them at some degree, right?
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to take on things you don't want to do. And I find it really fascinating that you were homeschooled. So I'm guessing, well, there's no computers or anything then, so it wasn't like online. So it was family, learning from your family, which feels like you would probably get a lot of benefit out of it compared to school, normal school, where they don't even teach you how to manage finances.
Yeah, I have so my parents are older. My mom is 72 and my dad is 79 and I'm 32.
Right.
And my oldest sister is in her late 40s. So my parents have been homeschooling since my oldest sister was young. And
Right.
it was when they started it was very like, we don't do that. Like you guys are bad.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys are like not going along with the government. Like we need to report you. And there were times when people showed up at my parents' door and were like, we need to see what your child is learning and we need to see what their grades are and like trying to regulate all that. But I forget where I'm going with this. They've been around the homeschool environment a long time. Found my train of thought. So my parents had, curated curriculum for us and stuff that they felt was valuable for us to learn to be people in the world and
Yes.
contributing to society and growing ourselves and what we're interested in, and then extending that out to other people and helping others learn, which is part of what attracted me to YouTube at a young age. Was there are people in this world who want to help me learn things, and it's not someone whose job it is. It's not someone who is hired by the government to be a teacher. It's someone who has a genuine interest in teaching and wants to help me learn things. And so when I was like, I think YouTube started in 2007, I want to say 2004,
Yes. I think
somewhere in
the end
there.
of 2006, I think.
Okay, yeah. So when I was a very early adopter of
Me
YouTube
too. Me
because
too.
yes, I started my first channel in 2008, I think. So I've been around the YouTube sphere for a very, very long time. Um, so I've just like part of the environment that was encouraged in being homeschooled was just pursuing your natural curiosity and discovering YouTube as a platform where you can see other people's lives and see what they're passionate about and what they want to teach or show or demonstrate. That's just a lot of how I learned. So I learned from books and from my parents and my siblings up until I was, 12 or 13. And then from there, I kind of just continued on my own. I grew up in Illinois, and in the state of Illinois, you don't need a GED, a high school diploma to go to college. So I started college at 16 and graduated when I was 18 because I just went straight through. And I finished college by the time all my friends were starting, so that was cool. And from that point, I just kept going, and it's been great.
Well, and welcome to A Quiet Garden. It's my pleasure to host Anders today. Absolutely, like I said in the beginning.
Ando, hello.
Yes, welcome. Coldacre says, well, going by how articulated Anders is, it's obviously worked out very well. So I agree. Look, there's no like, hey man, I'm all for do what you do and just don't be a. My philosophy is simple, right? You do what you do, just don't be a. There we go. I censored myself. My philosophy in life is so easy, right? What was I going to move? We'll move on from there. Let's talk about first band name.
Oh, yes. So
Yes.
I don't know if I want to say it because people will find it on YouTube.
You have to. Come on. Come on.
So before I was doing ambient and like orchestral modern classical music, I had joined a band in my high school years, and I say my high school years because I wasn't in high school.
Yeah.
I skipped high school. So there was a bunch of people, or not, just a group of guys that I was friends with who had already had a band, and they had lost their singer. So I used to sing. I still do, but I just don't anymore because I don't like it. And they were in their band was called An Awkward Moment. And I joined the band. I joined the band An Awkward Moment, and we competed in their school battle of the bands and played some local shows. We wrote a couple originals, but we mostly played covers like Kings of Leon, and I think we covered an Oasis song a few times. And but that was like the beginning of my music isn't just me. It could be a group of people. But then eventually music just became just me again.
It always does, right?
Yeah.
Because look, it's hard. I've been married, and look, we've all had relationships. Relationships are hard things, right? When you're in one with 5 people. Now, I'm not polyamorous, but I couldn't do one of those either, right? Here's my girlfriend, and here's my other girlfriend. I couldn't do that shit, right? But hey, more power to you. It's really hard.
It's hard.
It is hard because people are dealing with their own personal shit, and the people change throughout the time you're making music with them. Mm-hmm. Their belief systems change. And even as a vocalist, right, you're writing lyrics about a thing that you've always written about in the band for 4 years, and then the drummer comes and goes, I'm this now. Don't write words about it. And you go, well, fucking, but that's the whole basis of our band. How can we do that? What are you doing?
Yes. Especially in high school years, because people grow up and then they go to college out of state, or they move, and you're like, oh, I guess we're just not a band anymore.
And I don't know what it's like there in the US for rehearsals and stuff, but I do know because I lived there for 2 years. But I know it seems like the thing is a lot of bands hire rehearsal spaces and keep all their gear there. Where in Australia, you just lob up to a rehearsal space each week and have to lug your gear in and set up and play, and then you take your gear home. It's not a common thing to leave all your gear set up, where the US is very different, I found. So that outlay to keep going with a band on top of it's hard work. It really is hard work. So you're playing gigs, and I'm sure you've done the gigs in front of, Sally, and somebody complains that they let the dog in for free. And you're like,
yep.
Can we get some money? Did you had any bad experiences with venues or anything like that where they tried to pay you in, I don't know, drugs instead of money?
Oh my goodness! Yes, they're not drugs, but I think at the time that would have been nice.
Right.
But we just to get something. No, those when I was in that band, we just played like local shows, so we didn't do anything too crazy. There was the craziest thing that happened was the venue that we had played at a few times shut down multiple times for serving alcohol to minors. So I don't know how they were able to keep reopening and then getting shut down for the same thing, but
Right.
it kept happening to that one venue. So somebody must have been somebody's brother or sister, and they were like, "Oh yeah, just take a beer or whatever." Um, but then when my next band after that was it was the drummer of that band and myself, because the other members of that band had like I said gone out of state to go to college. So I had been writing post rock music in my bedroom by myself, and that was the group where my friend had said like, I'll drum for this if you want to like play live. And then a friend of his from another band that he was in said, I'll play bass, and we could like put together stuff and like put together a live show so you can like actually take this somewhere and do something. We toured a bunch. We were based in Chicago, but we played gigs from Pittsburgh to Seattle to Arizona to Tennessee to just all over the U.S. And there were there were venues who just did not want to pay. They waited till like 3 in the morning when our set finished at like midnight, or they're like, "Yeah, we got to count up the money for the night, and then here's your $20." Like, all right, I guess. Like, it's we got to get somewhere. We got to fill our car up with gas and like get to the next gig. So if you're able to give us something, that'd be great. But we just did it because we loved it. Like we we went on a tour for 2 weeks, going over the west coast of the United States, and lived in a van for 2 weeks, and that was probably one of my favorite 2 week periods of my entire life. Um, it wasn't glorious, it wasn't glamorous, it wasn't romanticized. It was just me with friends doing what we love, playing music for people we've never met but had already heard our music, and it was crazy, and I loved it.
I couldn't agree with you more. Touring is it's not glamorous, but it is fun. Like here in Australia, because we're such a big continent, but there's so much space in between everywhere. Like everything's built around the coast. To go on tour here and you drive, there's not a lot to see. It's
Yeah.
really, unless you like cows and sheep, right? And then the occasional town here and there. But when I was in the US, we went on tour. We went from Minneapolis and we went to Chicago, and man, it was so cool being on the road. And we went all the way down to South Carolina, and
Whoop, whoop.
it was just so interesting, so much more interesting being in a van and touring in the US because there's so much more to see. Some of it was quite scary, tense,
Yeah.
and stuff. It's shocking, but I would have loved to have spent more time and toured in the US. But beautiful stuff. Let's play another song, and then we'll hear from our sponsor after this. We're going to play a track called
Yes.
Fleeting, and then we'll come back and talk about it afterwards. So let's just go right into it and play it. You ready, folks? Let's do it right now. This is Fleeting from Anders Johanson. Let's do it right now. Boom! Now, I normally try and hype myself up for these interviews. Every time one of these songs plays, I'm finding myself go, oh, I just melt into my chair. Beautiful song here. And we're just holding up the show for a moment because we need to hear from our sponsor. So let's run our sponsored ad from DistroKid and we'll be back shortly. Are you ready? Let's do it. This presentation is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Introducing DistroKid, your ultimate music distribution solution. For just $29.99 a year, DistroKid empowers you to release unlimited tracks on all major music platforms worldwide, including Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, and so many more. Plus, use my link distrokid.com/VIP/JadeStarr and get 7% off your first year. You'll also keep 100% of your royalties and gain access to valuable tools like instant verification on Spotify and detailed revenue analytics. Don't let your music go unheard. Join DistroKid today and take your music career to the next level. Thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring today's presentation. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, DistroKid, for your continued support here on the channel. You know the deal. I love you, DistroKid. All right, so, but yeah, go and sign up to them. Get your music out there. It's always a good thing. Just don't buy apps and just not use them. Make some music. Get your music out there. Let people hear it. Hello, Gary Hubbs. I see you in the chat as well. Welcome aboard. Let's bring our guest back on. Wow, what a beautiful song that was.
Thank you. I apologize if you hear my dog. We have a corgi, and she's very animated sometimes.
Doggo! Are you kidding me?
And something's happening in the hallway, and I guess she's not too thrilled about it.
Man, this is YouTube. You even mention a doggo, and everyone goes crazy.
I know. I know.
Look at Leela.
Well, thank you for enjoying that track. And oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was gonna say, look at Leela. She's got a cat sitting there every bloody episode, right? You know, so animals are fine.
Yeah, that was a track from my first proper LP, titled "Peace of Mind," and that entire album is deeply personal to me, and checked a lot of boxes in things that I had wanted to do as a musician. Primarily being that album was recorded with live strings, so I work a lot with MIDI and sample libraries and Contact and Decent Sampler and all those great things that we've come to know and love. But something that I had always wanted to do was record an album with live strings, and fortunately, I married a woman who has a friend whose husband is the most annoyingly talented musician I've ever known in my life. And he can just play any instrument. His name is Caleb Bear. He's just immensely talented, and my love for that man knows no bounds. So when I told him that I wanted to record an album with live strings, he was like, I want to do it. Bring over a case of beer. Let's do a couple of sessions and let's do it. He was like, I want to be on that album. So obviously I wrote the album with MIDI in Cubase at the time. I use Logic now, but in Cubase I used, at that time I was using Cubase, and brought the tracks to him and sheet music and everything. And we spent a couple nights in his spare bedroom recording live strings, so cello, viola, and violin. And I engineered the whole thing, and there's a couple things that I would probably tweak now if I were to do it again.
Wouldn't we all?
Of course, like we always say that, but I'm 99.7% proud of that album. And yeah, that album is titled Peace of Mind, and I spelled peace as Piece instead of Peace. And the reason for that was, along with being homeschooled, myself and my 5 siblings were all adopted. So there's parts of our lives that we don't know about, and we might never know about. And one of my biggest fears is someday losing my memory, just not being able to remember people or places or experiences or whatever. So I wrote an album about losing a piece of my mind and my fear of that. And so a lot of the production process of that album was recording stuff to tape and using tape degradation as a way of expressing losing memories over time. And there are imperfections in that album that I like, because sometimes when we recall memories, there are things about it that aren't exactly how they actually happened. Um, so this, I'm so proud of the things that I was able to do, myself and Caleb, um, that we were able to do with that album. And then not only that, but that album, releasing that album, which release your music, dang it,
Yes.
release your music. Um, that album opened up doors for me to be able to compose for films. There were directors who had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I found your album on Bandcamp. I love your sound. I want you to write music for my movie." And that would have never happened if I hadn't released that album. And it wasn't necessarily just about the content of the album or the way it sounds or the way that I wrote it. A couple of the people who had reached out to me after that album, they had specifically mentioned that the reason they contacted me was because I put out an album. They saw that I was able to write a piece or a collection of songs with a total runtime of close to an hour, and just that fact alone, again, not the content, not the sound, just the fact that I could commit to a concept for a 60-minute runtime made them want to work with me to compose for their film. So you never know what doors are going to open for you just from the simple act of clicking publish. And if I had never written that album, if I had never published it, if I had never fill in the blank, if I just never done whatever, those doors probably would not have opened for me, and that opportunity would have gone to someone else, which, I mean, good for them, but I'm glad the door opened for me. And it's just, I can never stress enough, and Jade, you talk about it all the time too, and you've talked about it several times throughout this interview, collecting apps and collecting sounds and tinkering around is great. And that's one of my favorite pastimes. And I will never not do that. I've been doing it for 25 years now. Ever since I first touched a piano, I've been playing with sound. But you never know what opportunity will come to you after you click publish, unless you click publish.
100%. And it feels bleak sometimes releasing music, and it looks like you're getting no response sometimes. People focus so much on metrics and stuff like that. And like you said, right, you don't realize, and you never will, for the most part, realize how many people you actually affect just by releasing something or by the music. Like, I've had experiences, and I've had people on here as well too who have reached out and gone, "This song that you put out here on this video that was like 10 years ago, I was going to take my life and I heard this and I'm here." And you just don't know who you're affecting, right? But we're so driven by numbers and statistics and how many views we've had and all this nonsense. And they're just numbers. They mean nothing. They're like being put through school and learning a whole metric system and then getting into your first job and they go, "We don't use metric here, we use imperial." And you go, "Well, I just learned all this. What are you doing?" Right? So numbers, who cares? I want to ask you.
So to that point,
Yes.
before we go on too much further, by basic measurements and whatever we use to determine success in this industry and this world, that album didn't perform well. So my streaming numbers aren't huge. My sales from that album on Bandcamp aren't massive, but the act of releasing the album got me opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And there are people with millions and millions of streams who might not have those opportunities either. So that it's not always about the numbers,
Yep.
the plays, the streams, the listens, the subscribers, the monetization, the money. You just have to be, and I hate this. I used to not understand this, but now I do more than I did. You got to be at the right place at the right time, and you have to have something out there.
Yeah. You're not going to get results if there's. You have to wave your flag. Look over here. Somebody look. Someone's going to look
Yeah,
eventually,
look,
right?
I did something. I
Yeah.
did something.
Absolutely. Are you a fan of The Caretaker? Have you heard that album, The Caretaker? The Everywhere at the End of the World. Sorry, it's Everywhere at the End of the World. Everywhere at the End of Time is the
Is
name.
that the like the 4-part like avant-garde ambient
It's like,
album?
I think it's 6 parts. It's like about
Yes.
not schizophrenia, no, losing your memory. Yeah,
Yes.
Alzheimer's.
Yes. Love the
Alzheimer's.
caretaker.
It's
Yes.
so
Yes.
crazy. I thought you might be a fan of it. It's a hard listen. If you've never heard it before, folks, look it up. It's called The Caretaker, Everywhere at the End of Time. You can get it on Bandcamp, and it basically
Yes.
takes sound for the first album, and it's okay, and then the next album it starts to break down, and then the next album it breaks down, and it's to represent somebody losing their mind, and by the end of it, it's so broken and it's so hard to listen to. It will literally bring you to, I mean, it's 6 hours long, the whole thing. It's insane, right? But it just shows that music, it can be so much more than just verse, chorus, right?
It's an investment of an album, but it's worth it.
It is, yeah. It'll change your life, right? It's one of those things it either will or it won't, right? So dementia, yeah. So it's all those things, terrible things that can happen to your mind. Let's get onto this because I want to work out, because when you started making music, obviously you're the same as me and many people. We didn't have this amazing piece of glass. Now, I mean. It literally still is amazing. I shit can, Apple sometimes here and there for their choices, but we are making music these days on a piece of glass. It's ridiculous. But we grew up using computers, right? You either had a Windows computer or you had a Mac if you were rich enough, and it was a joyful thing, right? I started making music on a Commodore 64 with a little keyboard on top. That's how old I am. But the transition for you, moving from a computer over to an iPad, what was your first experience like finding this piece of bloody glass in your hand?
Yeah, it's a wild concept to think that I can write music similar to the piece that we just played on a tablet that fits in my backpack.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff that I did in that album that maybe I couldn't one for one reproduce on an iPad, but for the most part, by and large, I could make that album on an iPad and sitting in my car or sitting on a train or on an airplane. Obviously I took it a few steps further just for the sake of the album, but some of my first recordings were on an iPad 2, which I know that makes me sound super modern and like not that I didn't have the same upbringing or struggles of people who had to make albums on tape or cassettes or whatever the system may have been. But I used to just sing into voice memos on an iPad 2, and I had it just sitting on a CD spindle, and I would try to position my guitar in a way that would sound good, and then my voice in a way, or my mouth in a way that my voice would sound good, and to then progress from that throughout the years to this setup that I have now. And folks watching, they weren't here when you and I were talking about this earlier, but just being able to walk into this room and I have my desk and my screens and my microphone and all this stuff that I dreamed of having when I was first starting out. I wish I could go back in time and show me what I have now. But in a way, by using all of this stuff and by making somewhat of a career out of it, I am showing myself what I have now. I'm showing 18-year-old me, 15-year-old me, 6-year-old me that playing the piano that first time has led to this. And I'm not going to stop what I did then because the numbers aren't there or the metrics aren't there or whatever. I'm just never going to stop, and I'm going to keep going and keep showing my past self that this is who we are. This is what we do. This is what you've become. And that's in retrospect and in as an homage to how I started.
I remember so I got an iPhone first, and I got an iPhone back when the original one came out, and you couldn't get them here. because they wouldn't work on a network. It was only AT&T in the US, but I had to import one just to have one, right? So I could learn to jailbreak, because that was my thing back then. And as it turned out, when the iPad came out, you couldn't do a quarter of things you can do with the iPad now. You could only, everything was it wasn't even inter-app audio, it was just individual apps. And even when GarageBand first came out on iOS, you couldn't like take a file and move it into another app. You couldn't get into the file system. There was no files app. You had to jailbreak. And it was this cat and mouse game we ended up playing with Apple for so long, jailbreaking. And I know there's still people in this community who refuse to update their iOS because of, I think, the fear of like losing things and the way Apple's manage their system.
But my response to that is just do it.
Just move on. Just
do it.
You're going to lose
who cares?
apps that you're not even using anyway. I mean, seriously.
Who cares? Just update it.
Yeah.
Be modern, be contemporary, update, and move on.
Totally.
Just get over it.
See you later, Thomas. Thanks for all the work you've done today. Thomas has got to leave early. He's got work. We love you, Thomas.
Thank you.
You're banging the links in, as well as Leela, one of our great admins. Hello, Russ. Hello, Seven Dust. Hello. I saw someone else come in. Tristan as well. Hello to you too. The thing with iOS as well too, with their system. I've lost my train of thought now. Look, so I was making music on PC. I was using Logic on PC before Apple took it over. And 5.5, I think, was the last Logic on Windows. As soon as I got an iPad, I was like, this is the future. And I got really angry with the tech press, who just kept saying, it's a consuming device. You can just watch videos on it. And I was like, no. This is the future. There's going to be people making music on this piece of glass. I'm telling you. And as things went on, I was right, man. I was right. And I'm so glad, because like, who wants to be strapped to a huge machine all the time to make? You want music making to be seamless and integrate into who you are, and you don't want your mind to be concerned with software updates and all this shit. You've got things to make, and iOS was really good for that, because you could just, as you said, pick up, go, sit in a park, come back, put it on a magic keyboard if you want. There's so many ways you can make music with it. I'm so glad that it is how it is now. There's still problems, but there's problems with everything. Seven Dust, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. You rock. You are so awesome.
Yeah, that's wild. The 10 bomb, that's amazing.
Thank you so much. That is so awesome. So, do you find that what's an obstacle on iOS for you making music that you would love to see be removed somehow by Apple in the future? Is there anything that is an obstacle for you at the moment? Just one.
That's so I have the kind of personality and the kind of brain where I choose to view obstacles as inspiration. So if there are things in place that are restricting me, I don't choose to see that as a block. I choose to see that as a way to push my creativity.
An opportunity.
Right. Yes, exactly. Right. And that's how I've conditioned myself, and that's how I approach life in general. But with the tools that we have now, I get to use that there as well. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to provide a good answer to this question, because I enjoy the restrictions of an iPad. If I wanted to do something more broad and use sample libraries that are really deep, and mixing tools that are expensive or expansive, I'll use my computer. Yeah. But if I want to have some restrictions and push my creativity and see what I can do under limitations, then I'll use my iPad. And I like what that does to my brain and my thought process, and the way that I approach my compositions and my music and my YouTube content. I just consider it a different type of tool. I don't want every tool to be the same. I don't want my iPad to be the same as my Mac Mini, and I don't want my iPhone to be the same as my MacBook Pro. I want my devices to have limitations to push me to be more creative. So again, I don't think I'm gonna give a proper answer to this, because the reason that I like tape is because it sounds bad, but I
Sure.
want to make it sound good.
Yeah, right.
So it's just like I lean into the restrictions of the platform, and I push it to a place where I can take what you think is this and make it this.
I agree. It's one of the reasons I moved to iOS, that I felt like it was exercising my brain to find solutions all the time, instead of like, oh, this app doesn't have this. Well, how can I make that thing come over here and work over it got my brain thinking more than just like, I don't know, just find another VST. I really
Yeah.
love the process of iOS and working out those problems. And that's it. Back in the day, you had to jailbreak to just get a file off your iPad onto another computer. You had to. There was no option, right? And so that was fun. Jailbreaking, finding out how the iPad worked, what was inside the software. Is it just Mac OS? Which it is. It's just Mac OS. When you
Sure.
jailbreak, it's the exact same thing. So Tristan says, we need better drums. We've always needed better drums, right? And Drummer Gog.
Hey, not me. That doesn't bother me at all.
Drummer Gog was one of those things that was in Aurea Pro. And it's a shame Aurea Pro is just, I used it for ages, but Drummer Gog was sick. I wish they would bring Drummer Gog too. But we do have really good drums. That is the thing. It's all there. It's just, I think we kind of lean into things like that's the standard answer to everything. We just need better drums. And what do you define as better drums? What is the standard, right? What's going to be the thing?
Yes.
You're always going to want something more. Always. It's just, it is what it is. I'm going to play another song. Yes.
Not to call out that commenter, but for me personally, part of the fun of that restriction, like I was just talking about, is how can I make the drums I do have better?
Yep.
So that's just like it's part of the exploration and the push and pull of what we do have available, is rather than feeling restricted by this and this set of sounds and this iPad or this app, I should say, how can I use my skills to make it better, rather than saying this isn't good enough, so I'm not even going to start.
Yeah, totally. These are just tools, man. You're the one it's your responsibility to take them to a place far beyond what they simply are, right? They're just bad tradesman blames their tools. Is that how it goes? Something like that. Let's play another track. This is Decay from the same Peace of Mind EP, which is available on Bandcamp. I'm going to play it right now. Are you ready to oge? Let's oge, baby!
I love this track.
Beautiful. Those strings are just delicious, aren't they?
That's all Caleb. I mean,
Yeah.
he did such an amazing job. I just showed up to his house with sheet music and like I said, a case of beer, and was like, "Hey, let's make this track." And I had a an AKG C414 right up on his cello and his viola and his violin, which he owns all of them, so insane in the first place. And then a room mic, and there's some sections in that song where I chose to just use the room mic to kind of make it feel uncomfortable, and like distant, because of the concept of the album of, you know, being unable to recall memories properly. So I didn't want a close mic on that. I wanted it to be in the room and feel far and improper. And that was the first demo that I wrote for that album. So just I haven't listened to that in a long time because I feel like most musicians don't listen to their music after it's released, and I sometimes do, but I
Which
try
you
not
should.
to.
You should, man.
I
I
know,
listen to my
I know.
music.
You should. I know. Yeah. And when I'm feeling a specific way, and like I was saying earlier, this my releases are a very specific mile marker in my life. So when I'm feeling certain ways, I think of them as like journal entries. So if I'm in a mood where I'm feeling like I all of a sudden, for whatever reason, I'm suddenly scared of losing my memory again, I'll put that album on, just because all of my feelings and all of my emotions about that are in that album. It's like I put all of that fear and anxiety into that album. So it's just like that collection of music holds that for me. So when I feel that way, I go back and listen to that album just to like, I don't know, make me feel okay again. But yeah, that was the first demo that I wrote for that album, and I remember sitting in my car after doing a rough mix of the live strings and just crying. And because it was live strings, and I love VSTs, I love contact libraries. I will be the first person to defend them, but there's nothing like
No.
listening to an actual musician play your parts.
And watch
And
them
I
do it too in front of you. Just like
when we were
it's
recording
an
that,
art.
and I was just sitting on the floor watching him, you know, a few feet away from me, playing the parts that I wrote on cello and viola and violin, and just being like, this album is significant for me intrinsically because of what it's about, but also just like we're creating something really cool here. And I remember after a few of the tracks that we had recorded, he he thanked me. He was like, "Thank you for writing cool parts for these instruments." I was like, you're welcome, I guess. Uh, so it's just I love that song so much because it's so significant for me, just as a person and in my experience in life, what it represents for me, but also just the way it was executed. And I will never have enough kind words to say about Caleb and who he is as a person and as a musician and a father and a husband. And it's just, I'm so thankful that he got to play strings on that album, that he wanted to play strings on that album.
I think this is why I'm a fan of your YouTube channel and your music. Very genuine, right? That's what attracted me to your channel as well. And it's kind of cool having somebody on the show and talking to you and getting to know you in this weird environment. Both of us sitting in a room with no one around talking to ourselves, but in front of all these people. And there's 30 people here, so thank you guys for being here. Some new people who popped in.
Yes, thank you so much for being here.
Sunshine Archer, Chris Wilson. Hello, I see you as well too. There was someone else I saw. Pausing Guitars. So let's talk about the YouTube channel, right? Because I've heard you say on your channel that you doing this whole thing is because you're currently dealing with an injury. So that's why you've got so much time to do it. What makes you start the channel? What makes you drives you to want to show people these apps and your process? Because I mean, I think you're in the same boat as me. Look, I love apps. I say they're Pokemon, don't collect them all, but I love apps. I love how when developers take things out and just out of a reverb and make it something completely different where it's just a standard thing. I love it when they push boundaries. I love iOS too because back in the day, some of the apps were so groundbreaking and innovative. The touch screen environment and all that. And we're starting to lose some of that with, keyboards and desktop ports. So what was it that drove you to start the YouTube channel, start showing people your process?
Yeah, so as a musician myself and someone who's as someone who's been playing music for a long time and developing sounds and creating my own custom libraries, I've always just had like a collection of sounds that I made and things that I used in tracks. And over time, as people heard what I had been producing, they had encouraged me to bundle up all those sounds and release them as like a playable library or a sample pack or something. And so that sort of planted the seed in me to do something um, which has now become field tone audio, but something that I had never really considered before as being an option. Um, I've been like we talked about earlier, a consumer of YouTube since the inception of the platform, and I've watched so much content about sample libraries and recording and studio environments and setups and stuff like that. But a thing that is really foundational to me as a person, which I feel like I keep coming back to a lot, is just who I am. A phrase that I have ingrained into myself is, if there's time to consume, there's time to create. So I feel like if I have all this time to sit and watch YouTube, then I also have time to sit and do something that's going to impact people. And I'm a customer of companies like uh, East West, Spitfire, um, Teletone Audio, Westwood Audio. I buy so many libraries and apps and things from amazing creators, and I wanted to put everything that I've taken in throughout that time and put it back out into that environment. So I started Field Tone Audio from a place of remembering what it was like when I was starting out as a music producer and wanting to create music and seeing all these boundaries of like, I don't have enough money to have a sound like that. I don't have enough money to have a string library. I don't have enough money to have a piano library. I don't have enough money to afford a DAW. And if I did, I don't even know how to use it. Um, I remember wanting to create music just in general and being like, okay, if I want to make music, I have to pay for this class or I have to sign up for this course, and that's $200 or $400 or $600. And that was a huge barrier for me starting out. So a core principle of field tone audio is that I'm going to do everything in front of people. I'm going to show people how to use these tools. I'm going to show people how to make music with what's available. I'm going to create tools that are useful and affordable You're not going to pay $50 for a pack of 400 sounds and only use 2 of them.
Yeah.
You're going to pay $5 for a pack of 10 sounds that you're going to use all of them. And that's really important to me. And it's a pillar of Field Tone Audio, and an extension of that has now become the YouTube channel. Not just showing people the stuff that I have made, my decent sampler libraries and my sample packs and my Logic and Ableton and Cubase templates, but just showing people how to use what's available, not behind a paywall, not behind a massive purchase, because I know how frustrated I was when I was at that point, and I don't want to be the reason to frustrate someone else who's in that same position.
100%. Yeah. And it comes through. And I was putting up here on the YouTube channel here. There's the YouTube channel. I was putting up also up here your Gumroad. I think it was Riverbend Sim. Hi, Riverbend Sim, who's he asked in your chat.
What's up, Riverbend?
He said gum tree the other day. I think it was in yesterday's stream on your channel. He was like, what's your gum tree? And I'm like, gum tree? Isn't it like a classifieds page? It made me laugh anyway. But you can get all your packs here. So you've got the frame for Logic Pro. That's what he is asking about. So frameworks for Logic Pro, which is for Mac, Ableton Live and Cubase, and then you've got packs down here as well. Links to all this in the description, of course. And over here,
I want to say too, I before the stream, I put in a coupon code on Gumroad for anyone watching. Use the coupon code Jade Starr, and you'll get 30% off everything on my Gumroad.
Nice one.
So Jade Starr, one word, 30% off everything. If you want to use sounds on your iPad, your desktop, you want a template for Logic, please use that and start creating. That's what I want for you.
Oh, go and sign. Thank you for that. And also sign up to Patreon because you get a whole lot of bonus stuff. I signed up to Patreon as well too. Here's a Patreon. I'm not going to show too much. Where you can get a MIDI on the left cup. Right? I love that. Look, you got to embrace this kind of stuff. So, here's on this Patreon. There's lots of stuff. You can grab preset packs and stuff like that. Totally worth your time. Again, like I love your approach to live streaming as well too. I love sitting back and watching something for an hour and a half and not getting too serious about, but I need it now. And because, I cop a lot of shit on this channel because I do live streams. And for me, that's my thing. I like live streaming. I like being on camera and I like trying to entertain at the same time. It's apfotainment. That's what I call it. But some people
you're good at it.
Oh, thank you. Some people get upset and they're like, you talk too much and just get to the point. You know what? There's heaps of other channels out there that just have a screen and just start off and go. And there's heaps of them, right? And you can get that information. But, I'm about like deep diving into the app and making something while we're doing it. And it is what it is. There's all different styles of YouTube channels out there. So pick your poison, right? And be happy. Don't be upset and get yelly and stuff, because I'm changing my channel now. All my app demos are going to be pre-records. That's going to be interesting. I've shot 3 videos now, and it's so weird sitting here doing it all in one take and not actually conversing with people. It's very strange, but here we are. So get over, subscribe, and go and hang out at a live stream. They're lots of fun, and Anders interacts with the audience, and I don't know. That's part of the thing is I love community, right? I love building community. I can see you're building that over there on your channel, and that's why I'm a fan, because we are forever being pushed apart and told to hate each other and be terrible, and negativity is the way forward. Man, we're going to really have to focus on community at some point, because it's going to be the thing that gets us through all this nonsense that's going on in the world, right? So that's my take. Anyway, let's play another song, and then we're going to talk about apps for the end of this episode.
Boy.
Yay, apps! Because ultimately, I fucking love apps. I just love them, right?
Me too.
They're so good. But again, here's the thing. Quickly, before let's screw that. Let's play this song and stop yammering Jade, because people get upset with me. Right? So this is Hidden History. We'll play it. We'll talk about it when we come back. Let's do it right now. You ready, folks? This is another great song. You've picked some great songs today. Let's do
Thank
it.
You.
Another beautiful track. This is from the it's an EP, so Small Beginnings, released in 2023. Beautiful stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a fun one. That one's called Hidden History. I have I've always had a template on my computer, whichever one I was using at the time. Right now it's Logic on my Mac, called Sketchbook. So every day I try to open that up and just improv something inside that, or go back to a recent piece that I'd been working on and develop it a little bit further. So I'll move it ahead in the session timeline. And I broke that one off from a track that we played earlier, Fleeting. There's some melody lines in Fleeting that I really enjoyed, and I thought, what if I could kind of rework this and use it in a different context? So I called it Hidden History because some of the melody lines in that were from a track that I had released previously. And I've never told anyone that, so you're the first people to know about that. So that's a little Easter egg from myself, just from my process and the way that I write and my sketchbook template, and developing themes and sounds and reusing them or improving them or making them different. So I really love that one. I like that track a lot.
It's beautiful. Let's talk about apps. Now,
Yes, please.
so the reason I got into doing this, firstly, I found Pete Johns. I needed a question answered about GarageBand. I found this funny little guy from Adelaide and was like, who is this guy? And he helped me with my little question. And then I moved on to doing my music. But at the time, I was really into apps, but really had no money to be able to afford them. I was quite sick and living in the US, and I had virtually no money. So everything I bought was very, very curated and well thought out, and would watch many, many videos, sometimes the same video at least 8 times to make sure that my $8 was going there. And I know it sounds $8, what are you talking about? But when you're poor and struggling like that, that's how it goes. And it doesn't matter the cost of the app or whatever it is, because it was such a struggle to get the apps that I wanted. So when I was a moderator for Pete Johns, and he suggested I do a YouTube channel during the inconvenience, aka COVID, it was like, what would I do if I was going to show people apps? The ultimate goal is to help people make a decision on if it's right for them, because if you can go and buy all the apps in the world, right, and have a great collection, and we can all use AUBE from Fred Anton Cavest and go, look how many apps I've got on my iPad, 900. But if you're not using them, what's the point? So I tried to create a channel to help people make a decision on if it's going to be right for you, so you don't have to waste the money like I wasted money heaps of times on shit that I didn't really need.
We've all done it.
Yep. And, sometimes it's good to make those mistakes as well, too, so you don't make them in the future. Mistakes make you better. But without a doubt, iOS just has such a wonderful collection of weird, unique apps, and now desktop apps. It has really changed and diversified, and we're still getting those weird interactive apps like that music one that came out. Is it called Music 2 that came out this year? It's so weird with all the platforms and balls and shit. And it's like an Angry Birds game. That stuff blows my fucking mind. That's incredible. So with apps and is there a few apps that you can throw at me that are your go-tos, something that you always are going to load up to get you to where you need to go?
Yeah, so my approach to apps is a little bit different from yours. Which is good. I think it's great to have different perspectives and viewpoints on a platform. The way that I approach apps in my video is when I make a video, I open an app for the first time and use it for the first time. So my exploration series, my exploring series is literally me using an app for the first time. And just trying to capture that initial discovery of what is this? What can I do with it? How do I incorporate it into my workflow? And I'm sure the same has been for you. Sometimes things are great and sometimes not so great.
True.
And there's stuff that we go to as our favorites, and stuff that we may never load up again. And it's $5 or $10 or whatever gone to the wind. But some of my go-to apps lately are I really love Unfiltered Audio, Lo-Fi AF. again, being a tape fan, I enjoy the customizability of lo-fi AF. You already had that pulled up.
No, I did it. I did it in real time, mate. I'm quick, mate. I'm quick. I reckon I have an
Uh,
idea of some of the stuff. I think maybe Black Hole a bit, but I agree. This thing is
Flat,
mint. This is a
yes.
great app. This is a great app.
So I love Audio Thing Reels, and that was my for a long time that was my go-to app, and I still love that one. I think it has I love the wow and flutter on that one. I love the dropouts knob on that. I've never used the delay on that one because I have other delays that I use, but there's a delay built into that, which is really cool as well. And I think the like driving the input knob on Reels and controlling the output can get some really interesting saturation that plays with harmonics really well. So I love Reels. I actually had Lo-Fi AF before I had Reels, and I wasn't as into it as I am now. And then I spent a little bit more time in Lo-Fi AF, and I put together a preset pack called Cassette, which is available on my Gumroad. And I built that preset pack literally around the way that these cassette machines sound. So this one in particular, this micro cassette player, I can always tell when I use this one because it's just when you play it back, you can hear the motors in the sound. And I've never had a cassette player that quite did the same thing as this one, but I know when I used it that it was this because you can hear the motors. So I made a couple presets in that pack where you can hear like some noise and some interference, and it's based on these two cassette machines that I own. So I love Lo-Fi AF, and I use that one all the time. And then yes, Eventide Black Hole is a
Of course.
fantastic reverb. Um, I own a lot of reverbs. I love reverb. It was a joke in my friend group that you have to put on an Anders amount of reverb on the track. Um, so I any reverb that's out there, I probably own it. And my go-to is Black Hole. It's so good, and it sounds the way that I would want reverb to sound in a way that it's not artificial. It doesn't sound digital, which sometimes you want that, which is good. But it just sounds like space. It sounds like you're just filling a room. Um, Along with that, I really like Clev Grand Walls. I think that's a phenomenal reverb.
Agreed.
Um, I think the parameters that they have available for you to be able to customize in that app, again, just it just sounds like space, like you're just filling up a room or a hall or a chamber or the galaxy, which I think is one of their presets or one of their reverb algorithms. It sounds so good. So those are my go-to reverbs. I love Other Desert Cities as a delay.
Killer.
There's some really cool algorithms in that one and some cool tricks that I like to use. Um, on one of the delay types, you can slow down the playhead speed, so you can do like a half speed tape trick on some of those delays, which is really fun and doesn't make you have to buy other apps to do a similar sound. You can just do it right within that one. But then on top of that, it is just a really good delay. And the presets in that are great. And there's pages of parameters where you can really tweak the sound of the delay. And I love Other Desert Cities. Um, for synthesizers, uh, I've I've just been going to Audio Damage Continua so much lately. Um, I personally think it's the serum of iOS, just with how deep it is and how much you can do in it. And with their most recent update with the genetic feature, which is that like helix thing up in the top right of their menu, you can have a source preset and click on the genetic generator, and it'll give you like a tree where it develops your source tone into something completely different. And I've spent hours and hours just sitting there going through all of what it generates, picking a new one, loading that up, generating that again, and going down that, and then generating it again. And it's just the sounds that it comes up with are so cool. And no other app, at least that I've found, and maybe you may have more experience, Jade, but no other app, no other synthesizer app that I've played with does anything like that.
It's a beautiful synth. And you're right, that new update is wicked. I can't wait to do an update video on it now that I can do pre-recorded videos.
It's just so cool. Some other go-tos of mine. I love the Fab Filter suite on iOS because you can get the entire bundle of like the EQ, the compressor, the limiter, the multiband, the reverb, the saturator for like $100. But on desktop, that would be thousands of dollars.
It's
Like
ridiculous, isn't it?
Fab Filter Pro Q4 on iOS is I think $30. On desktop, it's $250.
Yeah, it's wild.
And it's insane. And I would love to hear the reasoning behind that, because as far as I know, it's a 1-for-1 port. It's the exact same EQ as it is on desktop.
100%. All of them are one
And
for one.
It's just crazy why, like me being just thinking back to me as like an 18-year-old in a bedroom, like why can't that desktop version be $30?
No shit.
You know?
Yeah, it's a
Listen, if
PC
you can make it
economy.
$30 for iOS, yeah, it's just like I don't want to go into the we don't have time for it anyway, but like the predatory pricing of some of these apps.
Yeah.
There people, and this is not a knock on FabFilter. I would say this about anyone. I love Fab. I literally just said I love them. I use their apps. There's predatory pricing between in the discrepancy between iOS and desktop, because people think that iOS is lesser.
Yep.
And I don't appreciate that.
And I always, when I do app demos, I always try and show the price of it on desktop just to remind iOS creators, $8 over here, 120. Are we, same shit. It was the
well,
way,
even Evil Auto that Audio Damage just put out, it's free on desktop.
Yeah, right.
But it's $3 on iPad. So what's the difference? It's the same software. It's the same code. Why are you charging here but not there?
It's a strange economy. Well, I'm going to have to cut you short because we've run out of time.
Yeah, sorry.
and it is what it is. This is what happens with these conversations. I've got to finish up because Pete Johns is starting his show and I've got to dump. We're going to run a little bit late anyway. It is what it is, right, sometimes. So I want to first thank you for coming on. Folks, if you haven't gone and subscribed during this show to Anders Johanson, aka Field Tone Audio, then you should. I'm over there as much as I can in his live streams, and I'm a fan of his music and what he does. And I'm sure you are too now from watching this. I'm sure you'll agree. All the links in the description. I want to thank you for coming on here and sharing a bit of your life and your interests and homeschooling and all that stuff. I love this stuff. This is what I live for. My channel is more than just apps, right? It's about making music. It's about interviews with artists. It's performances, rants, everything. I try and cover everything on this channel, right? Instead of just, here's an app. So this is my favorite part of the week, getting to know somebody and the story behind what they do. It always fascinates me. We are going to close with a one last song, if I can find it. Yes, we're going to close with a song called Spaces.
Yes, this song was almost completely a one-take improvisation, and then I just added some layers afterwards.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Please stay on the line so I can say goodbye to you at the end of this. Folks, I'm going to automatically dump you over to Pete Johns. Tomorrow we got our last live demo, kind of, sort of, taking a look at 2 apps. I can't remember the names of them. But starting from Saturday, I think every day there'll be a pre-recorded demo dropping. And next week, all new shows happening on the channel. Creative hours, all this whole new stuff. So hopefully you'll get on board with it all and hang out. This is Spaces. Thank you, Anders Johanson, Field Tone Audio, for hanging out with us.
Jade, thank you so much for having me, and thank you everyone for watching, and thank you for this platform, and thank you for listening.
This is Spaces. Do things that make you happy, folks. Mistakes make you better. We'll all rise together. And I see you. I do. I see you every day. All right. So let's do it. This is Spaces. Thanks, folks, for hanging out today. I want to give a big mention, of course, to DistroKid for sponsoring the show. Anders Johanson, Field Tone Audio, go check him out. I'll be dumping you over to Pete Johns. Let's go! Ja!